All right, good morning. Monday morning, the 25th. Hold on, I gotta adjust my chair. There we go. 25th of March. And let's see. Everything's actually looking like it's in a pretty good place right now. News today. I think there's something at like 10 o'clock Eastern. Let's see. New home sales at 10 a.m. is what we've got, I think. So we got little bits of news, jobless claims. Looks like Thursday's the bigger news day, but some consumer confidence tomorrow, so that's good. Friday, Good Friday, so I don't think the markets will be trading a regular day on Friday. But it should be a decent week, I think. So we'll see how it plays out here. Just going to kind of take it slow and watch what it does. All right, let's walk through it. So the open range formed in gold. Right now we're just kind of playing around in the top half of that. We had that huge drop off on Friday, and since then we've kind of worked our way back up. Kind of like this NQ retest right here, actually. Kind of at the bottom on NQ after this big push down. Like big drop off out of London. So now we're just consolidating. Oops, consolidating sideways. Oh, goodness, get back there. There we go. I like how we crossed under the red line, came back up, tested it. Now we're bouncing off the gold line, so we'll see. See if we get a little push up here. I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of this necessarily, but see what it do. Gold is just, let's see. So we didn't get a breakout in gold right away. And now we're just kind of meandering. This would have been a great entry down here where it bounced off twice and then pushed up, but we weren't around at that point. That was also the first touch after this cross, which is good. I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens. I think a long entry on gold would look better just because we've got the overnight open. We've got our lines stacked correctly for that. But got to see how it reacts to kind of this midpoint here. So we failed to create a newer high over here. We came up. We didn't get a new high or a breakout, and we rolled over. How far away from the overnight open are we here? 73. See how we react here. Let's see, our open range, or the range of the open range in gold is 43. So that's a pretty decent sized range there, which is good. All right, now let's see how we handle the midline. I mean, technically we're coming off of the gold line here, but I don't necessarily like the fact that we created a lower high and then a lower low here before we did. Doesn't mean it can't keep going up, but this looks more bearish to me. So I'm gonna wait. Ooh, big wick down. We got the open now in oil to keep an eye on. And we've got the 5-minute chart over here. Looks like maybe NQ didn't want to come off the gold line. Maybe it wanted to come off the red line. That seems to be working out okay over there. Okay, in oil, we've got the overnight open below 27, very close to the overnight open. We're actually coming off of it here, which is, I think, a good sign. Hit it here, and here. I think that's a good sign for higher prices potentially. We're above, our lines are crossing right now, which is also a good sign for higher prices. Let's see. All right, well, this is good for gold. So I like that we came down. We had a strong reaction from the lower half of the open range here. We'll see how this unfolds if we continue to push up. We got these gaps coming down though. I mean, we gapped down 2 candles in a row before we fell. So I'm still unsure here. I think there could be some resistance, so probably best to just wait. let it grind through all of this and see what happens. If we get some kind of a high with a pullback or even a strong push out of the open range, those two scenarios would be good, I think. Just a lot of waiting right now. Nothing really to talk about, I don't think. Just consolidating in NQ. Gold's just whippy whippy. We're down a little bit this morning. Not much, but a little bit. I did take a little trade. I tried this trade short, but obviously we're not ready to go short yet. So wait and see. The objective is to catch these breaks and just ride them, right? So if the market's going to trend, we want to be part of that trend. That's really what it comes down to. So it may take a couple times to get aboard the train. So the name of the game is being patient, waiting for the right opportunity, and then maximizing that opportunity. Oil's opening up for us right now. And NQ still doesn't know what it wants to do. One thing I do like about what gold is doing right now is we came down below the midline. We came back above. We came back for a retest and a push up. So I think that's a good sign. We'll see if we get a push up, but right now I do like that. I do like that price action. So we'll see how it plays out here. I'm going to mark this fair value gap up here just because this was the kind of this impulsive rejection and push up. If we close back below this, then that seems more bearish at the moment, but it's just chopping around. There's no clear answer yet, I don't think. Depending on the moment, it looks a little more bearish. But gotta wait and see. I don't think it closed below it, did it? Say no, but it's moving now. So oil is coming back down to retest the gold line after the cross. Still inside this opening range here. I haven't really tested the sensitivity of gold to the overnight open when it's this far away. If this was oil, I wouldn't care as much about the red line because the gold line is going to be stronger. That might be the case in gold too. I don't know for certain though. I haven't done my due diligence to gather that data. So maybe we'll find out here. We have had a couple tests, right? We had the cross. We had this quick bounce and then up. So we'll see. Well, we got 2 minutes. Maybe we should glance over here at NQ's higher time frames real fast just to get an idea of what's going on. Do this quick look at the daily. Ignore all the lines and arrows. Wow, impulsive moves up. Little consolidation day, and now we're dropping back down through this volume imbalance, which was huge on the daily chart. That's like really big. So that's interesting. Kind of looks like maybe a little bit of a pullback day. Nah, not 90 days is plenty. On the 4-hour chart, we're pulling back down into this fair value gap. The big fair value gap, though. 200 points. So the question is, how far are we going to pull back before we start going back up again, I think. Obviously, if we break way down here, then we'll be bearish, but for the moment, the question is, where do we, like, how far is it going to fall before we get a bounce? Got quite a ways to go, so I don't think it's super clear at this point. We are delivering lower out of this fair value gap on the 15-minute. But we're holding this level pretty strongly right here. What's going on over here? Okay, we have a 15-minute order block right here, which is probably what's holding us. I'm going to put a line just at the top of that for reference. So we fell below. We came back up to touch it again. Mark out the high and low. Huh. So that's the range we're in. Okay, so for me, I'm not really comfortable with anything until we push up or down above or below this range. At least if we're going to look at anything, you know, any sort of a bigger move. There can always be smaller moves inside there, but that's just kind of where we're at. So I'll probably wait till open here. Oh, look. Gold is finally pushing up a little bit, which is good. I'm back to break even in my trade. I got in one tick above here, above this guy, with my stop below this pivot low. So this was kind of uncomfortable. Still not out of the woods yet, I don't think, until we actually push up, but we'll see. I'm going to move my stop up a little bit now, though, since we came way down here once. If we come down there again, it's probably not a good sign for a long. So we'll see. All right, we got a nice setup here on oil. I do like this. Not taking any kind of a short here because we're very close. 10 ticks, 12 ticks away from the overnight open. So any move here we'd expect to be pretty either pretty short or pretty choppy. And so we'll wait and see. To go short here, I think we'd have to be below the overnight open with some signal to go short. So that's where I sit in oil. I don't really see an oil trade for me, at least. Gold hasn't decided to go up yet. In fact, continuing to kind of hold this little trend line here. Which I don't give a whole lot of weight to, but I think it's worth noting, right? What does this look like? Something like that. We've held for this long. Not going to give up now. The inclination is to get out for break even after you've held through a big pullback like that, right? Got in here. We were negative. We were down at 1 point. 21 ticks, which is, you know, it's not a small pullback. So the gut reaction usually is, oh, I'm back to break even, get out. But, you know, it's coming back up in your favor, so let's wait and see what it does. Now, if we close, I don't know, I'm actually kind of torn here. But I think if we close back below the midline, I'll probably bail and wait, see what happens. Because overall, we are chopping lower. I mean, it's possible that, the red line here holds, but I don't know. We're only stops down here at 22 ticks below our entry. So I think it's pretty unclear at this point. So might as well just wait and see. I mean, I do not like the momentum that we're picking up right now, moving down. But we had kind of similar momentum here before we pulled back up, so we won't know what it's going to do till it does it. All right, so there's our stop hit. Be really unfortunate if it rejects off of here. So let's watch and see what happens. Where am I at? My P&L's not too happy with me today. But GC April. Might be just a slow waiting day today. Everything's just going sideways. So until it tells us where it wants to go, there's not much we can do, I don't think. Oil's playing around in the bottom half. It's wearing out the bottom half of the open range. Wish there was something more interesting to talk about, but just nothing going on at the moment. We are 7:30, so we're about an hour after the gold range is formed, which is about the time you'd expect some kind of a break on one side or the other. We got 5 minutes until the open in NQ. Equity open should wake gold up a little bit too, so that'll be good. It's a pretty strong move up in oil here. Yeah, we're starting to get a strong push up. Let's see if we push out here. The range for oil is 28 ticks, so pretty small open range. We came up, we retested, now we're pushing higher. So all those are good potential signs that maybe we want to go long. It's just a very, very small range right now. We did have this is an inside bar here too on the 5 minute. This is a 5 minute chart, but so this inside bar break, if that's your trade, you'd be in this long looking for what? Looking for whopping 14 ticks, which is just outside of the open range. Seems like that's a possibility at this point. 2 minutes till open. All right, here comes the open. So let's see what happens. Hopefully a little life is breathed into everything. That'd be great. So there you go. There's your target if you did the inside bar. Okay, and Q's falling down below our this 15-minute. 15-minute order block. So we'll see if it holds or fells. We're definitely in this gold trade from down here. We got in late, so my entry was at 16, 81.16. So way up here. So I got in a little late, but I like kind of this momentum out that we've got. We'll see if it carries us. See what we can get. We'll take that. Good job, oil. Good job, oil. We're up 33 ticks right now. Gold's getting a little bullish too. Getting a little push up. And Q's holding this. Doesn't seem getting some reaction off of here. So oil is taking out the highs from yesterday, from Friday. Next target high was likely 81.91. If it keeps moving up, which is way up here. Oops, wrong one. Way up here. 81.91. So that's right about the 250 mark. So let's see what we get. I'd love to get some kind of a pullback so that we could add into our position. Definitely not adding up here because chance of a pullback is very real. What are we doing gold? Did you finally decide to move up? I don't trust you. I don't know, maybe we should be in gold too. What do you think? I think if we're going to be in gold, we should already be in gold. So now at this point, kind of need a pullback. What we have going for us is we're an hour after the close of the, an hour-ish, right? After the close of the open range, and we're pushing through pretty strong. So let's see if we get some sort of a pullback to our gold line. We had a nice little reset here, so I think we exercise some patience in gold, and I'm going to wait and see what that does. NQ is just sideways still. Still sideways. Okay, we're out of the range on gold. See if it just accelerates out of there or if it gives us an opportunity. This right here would have been an okay entry in gold because we worked our way down. We didn't break out the bottom, but we came like very close to it. And then we moved up impulsively. So the close above the midline here, that would have been a decent entry, I think. Stop would have been below this. So it would have been a pretty wide stop, so a little bit higher risk. If I hadn't taken 2 losses already and I was paying attention, that would have maybe been a good spot. Just kind of taking a look at the price action and learning from what it's teaching us. The other thing that this taught us is today it didn't care about the overnight open, right? Chop down and then boom, push back up. So fortunately, there's no entry short here at all. So that's good. Did fake us out on the long side a little bit early on. Although these were where I attempted to get in here. That was a little, I guess it wasn't super clear. You really want an entry that's just obvious. This one wasn't totally obvious, but we did come down. We got a nice reaction up, a retest of the midline. So I'm okay with that, with taking that loss. So we'll see what we do here. I do like how we pushed up, we tested, and it looks like we're holding. Kind of a 1 candle retest, so not as strong, but it was a pretty solid move higher here. So I'm gonna wait though. I need a better entry. Oil continues to. All right, so we're starting a little bit of a pullback, which is excellent. Love to see that. What did we say our kind of high target was? 81.90 something. I don't really like targets. I kind of want to just see where it's going to go, but it does help to have some perspective, right? Let's just put a line up here just for fun. Do we see that? Oh, over here. Geesh. I think I'm going to need a nap later. That's kind of our, call it the next target higher. Now the good thing is if you're looking at the 1 minute chart, pull this over here. So this is the 1 minute chart on oil. All right, we're pulling down into the 1 minute gold line. So this may give us an opportunity to add, or give me an opportunity to add to my position. Everyone else can do whatever they want to do. You come just a little bit lower than that. I mean, our stop is moved to break even, so we're not going to lose on this trade if it were to just sort of totally fell, which I don't think it's going to. But we're prepared for that possibility.
that mean? What does that mean?
That means you have to eat it before February of next year. You got plenty of time. Let's see. All right, we got a little pause here on oil. I did add a contract off of the 1 minute gold line, so we'll see how that goes. Our stop is still at break even, so we're not going to lose anything. We're up 15 ticks in gold. So we did get in after this retest, so we'll see where this takes us. All right, let's go. I feel like singing that song. I won't sing it. I won't play it either, otherwise I'll get in trouble. It's probably a copyright violation. All right, my chart trader is being weird because so look at this. I've got, so I'm in this trade and I'm on a trade over here. I'm trying to put in, well, let's do this. Let's put in a stop at least. A break even here. I'd put a stop loss and a target order in over here, and then they like disappeared for some reason. So I'm not sure. They disappeared. These disappeared when over here I added to my contract. So maybe this doesn't work. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move this to a new window. All right. I don't want to screw myself up. All right, so we got a double top here. Move my stop up to below this pivot low. See where it goes. That's the name of the game for us right now, is see where it goes. Oh, move this out of the way for you. Gold's coming back. Are we going to stop out for break even? Actually, it's not break even. I have it up like 3 ticks or something. You know what? I'm going to move it back to break even. Yeah, I'm moving my stop exactly to break even because we're coming back to the 1 minute gold line. So I want to give that an opportunity to do its job. If it doesn't do its job and fails, then no harm, no foul. But if it does, we want to be part of the action. So we're up $650 so far in these trades, even though we're pulling back right now. Oh, gold. Oh, gold. Are you going to stop me out again? Come on now. Come on now. Stop doubting, gold. What you gonna do, oil? I don't want to get out of this because if I get out of this and it continues to reach up, I'm gonna be very, very sad. So that's why we're gonna wait. I mean, we do have some profit locked in, so we're not gonna end this little ride with nothing in our pockets. We'll have a little bit. We've locked in 9 ticks, so that's $180 on 2 contracts. Let's see, NQ. Oops. What are we doing on NQ? All right, so we broke below this little order block on the 15-minute. I don't know what it looks like on the 15-minute chart, but coming back into it now. It's a retest of our gold lines. We wrap the midline of the open range, so I'm not really sure. See what goes on here. Not really going to trust much of what NQ is doing, really. Don't really like it. Oil is really hesitating right here. So I think we'll know shortly if it wants to go up or down. All right, we got 1 more minute till this 5-minute candle closes. I'm going to move my stop up a little bit more. So stops move it up to 81.52, which is basically below, right at the bottom of this 5-minute candle. And the reason for that is that we put in, so we had this pivot low, push high. We got this pivot low, and we're looking, it hasn't pushed up hard to create a nice pivot low, but it's really kind of hesitating here. So if we fell below here, I would expect it probably to drop, probably to come back to the 5-minute gold line, honestly. So, but I mean, it's not done it yet. So wait and see. Meanwhile, gold has come back to the 5-minute line. And sitting there. Which is a little bit below this pivot low, so that's not great, but we'll see. The 5-minute candle in oil closed inside bar, and we've broke above that inside bar. So if you were playing the inside bar here, I guess that's the second one, so I'm not sure if you only play the first one, but if you're playing every inside bar, that would be an entry. And the 67 stop loss would be the bottom of this bar here, so you'd be looking for 16 ticks, which would take it up to about the 200% mark. So that's within reach. Right at that 150% level. 200's up a little bit. So this scenario is really a tricky one, right? Because there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Ha! Look at that. 200. It tapped the 200 and ripped off of it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's get up there a little bit further, would you? If it pops up there one more time, I'm gonna call that good. I think I probably missed my opportunity, but we'll see. Just give me a little more. We're gonna see if we can get. There we go. Come on. Two more. All right, I'm gonna close it there. Okay. So this that was a pretty good trade. So I love how it tapped that 200% line. That would be a good place to have a target if you wanted to trade that way. This is the tricky spot here because you've got, you look here, you're wedging up. You've had this strong push, you're wedging up, and you have this kind of strong pullback, right? So you want to get out of it because you're already in profit. You don't want to see your profits go away. The trick is what's going to be worse for, what's going to be most painful, right? And this is a Tom Hugard thing. What's going to be most painful? Is it more painful for you to come back and get stopped out for a small profit? Or is it going to be more painful for you to then see this thing rip up and you could have had, 2 or 3 times what you'd have if you just sold out here, panicked on the pullback. Doesn't mean it's going to work in your favor every time, but that's the thought process. And this may still keep moving up, but since it bounced off the 200 so hard, and I was up pretty significantly, that's in my mind a good place to be. And it really tapped it twice when we look on the 1 minute chart. So if I was quicker, the better reaction would have been after this pop down, maybe move my target back to that in case it came up to it one more time. I would get out based on a reversal pattern here, but this is not one. So the reversal pattern would have been a bullish candle with this bearish candle. If this wick would have gone even 1 tick higher, right? If this would have been 1 tick higher than this candle, this would have been a reversal and I would have got out right there. But it wasn't. So that's why I kind of wanted to wait and see. We had hesitation here, so I jumped out. So probably not the best exit, but we went from being down $400 to up $250. So if gold hadn't taken my money earlier, it would have been nice. So that was I don't know what it was, $600 trade or something. Let's put the should we put our little indicators on there, or our markers, so we can at least see if we did this right. So we had a late entry. A really nice entry would have been a break of the candle that tested the 5-minute gold line. But I waited till we pushed up past the midline, which is a little bit of more, it's a more conservative entry. Right. So the overall context is we created the open range. We failed to break out the bottom of the open range. We have support of the overnight open, red line, gold line. This is the first time we pushed above the midline since the range formed. We got in. It blew out the top. We added to our position on a pullback. You know, realistically, we should have added here. So this is where I could have done better. Is we should have entered here, because this was another nice pullback, right? If it's gonna go up, it's gonna go up. If it fails to go up here, we have a tight stop loss on this contract, this third contract, and you know, we're still safe. And as you can see, you know, we're still pushing up. So if I was strictly following my rules, which would have been just trail the stop loss and wait to get stopped out, right? Stop loss here. Create another pivot low, so move the stop loss here. Another pivot low, stop loss here. And now we're moving up. So could have been a lot better. Right? Even if we wanted to say, okay, we rejected off this 200% area right here twice on the 1-minute chart. You know, so I don't know, maybe you add a third contract here and just hold it to here. I mean, that's not very far, but you know, 14 ticks on 3 contracts isn't, you know, anything to feel bad about. So we'll see how it plays out, but overall, that's that trade. That's the open range break. That's what we look for on these open range breaks, and they work out pretty well, right? When they work out. So total ticks from first contract to close was 50. Went a total of 67 and still kind of going. So we'll see how it plays out the rest of the day. But that was the oil trade. Now gold. What do we do in gold? Do we try gold again? Have a nice retest of the gold line. Pushing out of the open range again. Let's see. 40. That's a pretty big range. No, we came really close to that 100%. So I don't know. I don't know. Oil's still working its way up. I mean, I would expect it to hit that high. Who knows when it'll hit or how long it'll stay there, but Yeah, at this point, I think I'm just going to wait and see what gold does. Probably not going to put any more of my money at risk with gold today. So NQ is the next victim. Or maybe I'm the next victim for NQ. All right, it's 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. Wasn't there news at 10 o'clock? Some kind of something. Yeah, new home sales. Apparently NQ doesn't care about houses. Pulled back into this order block. This is like, oof. Choppy, choppy, choppy. If you're taking inversions, I think the inversion would have been here probably. Not super clean. And we inverted way up here, so not great, I don't think. But it is bullish. Oh, and if you'd have taken this inside bar on oil, that would have, I think you would have hit your target. So it's 2 inside bar victories in the first hour of the day. So gold or oil is behaving itself quite nicely. Okay, let's expand this out. What in the world are we waiting for here? What did we have? We had a false break of the open range. Our lines are stacked for a short. Coming off this big swing down. And now we're just chopping sideways. So that doesn't really help us much, does it? So on the 15-minute chart, we're still holding this 15-minute fair value gap. This one here is a 4-hour. So we're inside this 4-hour fair value gap, daily fair value gap. Holding is 15-minute fair value gap. So that's not really an area that gives us a warm and fuzzy. Or at least doesn't comfort me at all. The overnight open in NQ is above at 567. Where's that? It's way up here. So 567, which is way up above above the London highs. So Asia was was just under 50 points. Then we stepped down a little bit into London, which was only 32. And then we dropped out, consolidating, swing lower, consolidating again. It's quite likely or quite possible we reach back up to the London range, but I don't think anything's really very clear right here. When I get slow like this, I like to poke around the internet and see what everybody else is thinking. See what they're seeing. Let's see. Is Tanya trading this morning? I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh, yeah, she's calling Monday as a low probability day, so she's not trading today. She'll be back tomorrow. All right, well, we decided to push up, so that's good news. At the top of that 15-minute fair value gap. It would be really, really nice to get a long setup targeting London lows. Not going to take it off of here, though. Even though it could just take off. Not something I want to... not my model. Let's see. ES just took out its highs. Its recent highs. Where's... So did NQ. Meanwhile, YM is like taking out lows. So NQ and ES are taking out highs. YM's taking out lows. It's kind of like YM wasn't invited to the party over there. So technically, if you'd have taken this inversion, you'd be sitting pretty. You'd have been pretty uncomfortable for a while. You got in right here, you would have been, well, depending on where you got in, you would have been stopped out for break even. But I guess if you didn't get stopped out for break even, you're up 30 points. So that's not nothing. I guess you could, in theory, have entered off of this. Again, it's not my model necessarily, but we have an up close candle. The body of this down close candle matches and holds. The next candle comes down below, then closes above. So it's a nice little order block there. So that could have been an entry. I guess. Especially coming out of the top of the open range, although it's been pretty wore out here. I mean, we really didn't pull down into anything. We didn't come back and retest any kind of fair value gaps or anything. What does the 2 minute and 3 minute look like? I mean, I guess on the 2 minute there was this. If you want to jump around time frames, we came in, held this fair value gap, and pushed up. So that's something. Kind of the same thing on the 3 minute. 3 minute actually reached down into this one here. You can see it's a little messy right there. Boom. And then took off. So guess depending on what time frame you're looking at, there were clues. Is there a better inversion on one of these other ones? There probably was. I really kind of dislike looking at these in retrospect because it's like, okay, you know, I guess in the moment if you're quick enough to bounce between them all and see what's going on. But this 2 minute closed above here. And if you got in right here, you would not have been stopped out. So this all comes down to how confident are you in your model and how disciplined are you to sticking to your rules. Otherwise, I mean, I guess you would not have lost. That's the I guess the comforting story there is you would not have lost. Worst case would have been break even. All right, see if we get a little bit of a pullback. We didn't quite get to the London lows, but I don't know. We came pretty excuse me, we came pretty close. You know, let's put a little higher target here. 15 minute is closing above its fair value gap, way above its fair value gap. So it's a good sign. So we have these equal highs on the 15 minute chart, which match the London highs. So that's could be a good target. All right. Would love a pull back down to here. See if we get it. Not sure. Nope, not yet. Did this gap hold on the 30-second? I think it did. Oh no, we traded through it like twice. Yeah, it's holding up here, but it's not super strong. And the real challenge is I'm the bias is unclear, so in my mind at least. So I'm not overly optimistic about getting in something and being willing to hold through it. I mean, I'm targeting these highs up here, but do we get there? Don't know. Is this one tick higher, wick down? So not super convincing here, I think. There it goes. All right, so I guess that was the entry. Not what was this gap? This gap was a little over almost 6 points, you know. So if you would have bought in there, that would have been a pretty, well, your stop loss would have had to been way down here. So I mean, if you want to be really conservative, you could have just held it under that fair value gap, but the odds of getting stopped out there are pretty good. So, you know, below the pivot low would have been 45 points, which is a lot. It's more than I am willing to risk for sure. All right, we tapped London lows. Another little 5-point fair value gap. Same thing on the 30-second, just shifted a bit. Oh, goodness. All right. That gap is failing at the moment. Failed. Yeah, this kind of price action makes me nervous where we're just trading through fair value gaps like this. Right. I mean, this one held. We went higher. This one failed. And we'll see if it holds lower or if we trade back above it. Definitely on a short-term uptrend here. We took this high. We still have, there's plenty of targets higher. So, don't think we've hit the turnaround spot maybe yet, but oh, this is a good sign. So this fair value gap did hold. It pulled back up into it, but now we're drawing lower, which is a good sign. When I say it's a good sign, I mean it's a good if market structure is holding like we expect it to, then that's a good sign for just getting a read on the market. All right, now do we hold this fair value gap still? We come down to the gold line. Still overall bullish, or at least in the short term until we hit the London highs. Bullish, but not overly bullish, I don't think. All right, well, while this does whatever it's going to do, let's see. Okay, so oil did come up here and hit this, and it's still just trickling up. Still trickling up. That makes me feel bad about getting out. See? Stick to your plan. Would have worked. Following the pivots up would not have been stopped out. There were some pullbacks, but we wouldn't have been stopped out. Then we would have hit the target. Would have been nice. So that would have been an extra 26 tick. So an extra like $500. Oops, sorry. There we go. And we're still crawling up. I noticed on oil that when there's a tight range like this, smaller range, like this one's only 28, the 300% level gets hit often, which is 84 ticks. And like that 80 to 90 tick range seems to be pretty common for breakouts that tend to trend a little bit. Sometimes they go much further than that, but that's a number that I see a lot in my back testing. So far, this fair value gap on NQ is holding. We're back down to the gold line, which is good. Oh, excuse me. I need to breathe better. So where do we think we could potentially go long here? Let's see. We have something on the 30-second. Guess on the 30-second, it would be this guy here. I mean, it's interesting that we've reached down into this fair value gap. We didn't quite touch the gold line, but we did get really, really close to it. Be looking at 13 points. Well, if we got into the break of this, we'd be 20-point stop. So it's kind of a big stop loss, but nice move through it. We'll see. Mm-hmm. All right, this will be our last trade this morning before we sign off for the day, see if this works. I took this little bit of a pullback here, so right now we're in drawdown, but I like this kind of impulsive move up through here. We shall see. Super choppy. Not really the reaction we were hoping for, that's for sure. Spent way too much time down here. All right, we're about to get stopped out. All right, stopped out there. So that is too bad. So we forget for playing this high up in the range, right? Kind of want to wait till 950. See what happens. Now it's pushing back up again. I definitely feel like I have a better sense for oil, definitely. Gold, not great, but in terms of the open range, I feel okay with gold. But man, NQ's like either really good or really just not good. So I haven't quite dialed in my read on that market yet. Yeah, so oil hit that 300%. Gold is, I don't know, gold may be looking at turning around. Kind of interesting. We missed the nice breakout of the open range, and now it's pulled back inside, and yeah, we'll see what it does. Give it 8 more minutes. Well, a little more than that. We'll give it, um, you know, 10 or 12 minutes. See what it does in the next 8 minutes. See if it sets something up here, violates something, does something. Still inside this 4 hour fair value gap, daily fair value gap. But we're at the top edge of it. We violated our 15-minute fair value gap, so we're above that. We still have targets up here. We've got these short-term lower highs. So everything seems to be pushing for a long here, but we came back down to the 50% of this range. Yeah, phone call. Hold, please. All right. 948. What are you going to do, NQ? Which direction are you going to take? You come back to the lows, you're going to move back up to the highs. I don't think you're going to stay here. Trying to find my other chart. Where's that? There it is. All right, so this is a nice rejection potentially off of the 5-minute gold line. I do like how the 30-second is holding these red lines because I've seen these hold pretty well in the past. So that's, I think, a good sign. We'll see. Not super confident in anything right here, though. It's going to get really, really super, super choppy. You can push up a little bit. What you gonna do? It's definitely pausing and thinking here. But I've never been good at reading its mind. Oops, that's not the line I wanted. I want to do that line. All right, this fair value gap's holding. We did pop up above our little trend line. Probably doesn't mean much, but we also have a 5-minute fair value gap that's holding, so that's good, I think. I don't know. I'm tired of watching this chop around, so I am going to call it a day. Had great trades this morning, especially in oil, which is still just climbing up. So this is why. Okay, we gotta like talk about this very quickly before we sign off here. So if we were just holding, and again, you do this because you don't know where it's going to go, right? So our stop loss, let's get rid of these lines here. Okay, here's our original entry. Second entry, we ended up selling out here. As we move up, the stop loss would have followed below the pivot low. So here, 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 maybe even here. Right? So you can see I actually thought I was on my NQ chart, so this was an error trade here. And then whoop. So this, assuming this comes in and stops it out, it's like, all right, well, worst case scenario, we got 84 ticks. Of course, it ended up going 127. 84 ticks. And that would have been one contract, two contracts, maybe a third contract in here on one of these. Maybe that's all we add in, right? So that would have been 84 ticks on the first contract, 45 on the second. I don't know, call it 28 on the third. The risk is maybe it pushes up here, comes back out and stops us out for break even. The reward is, you can catch, these pretty big moves. So that's really what we're looking for, what I'm looking for. So need to work on discipline, sticking with the strategy. Kind of just got to let this stuff play out. You never know what the market's going to do. So do you want to be part of the move or not? That's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's always hard. There weren't any impulsive moves in here, right? The first, we had an impulsive move here right out of the open ranges, which is what we would expect. And then from there, it just kind of moved up and down. Again, these pullbacks were kind of sharp, but they never would have hit the stop loss. And then we get an impulsive move up, So I guess if there was, if you're looking for kind of a top, once we get out of this range and we get an impulsive move, maybe that's where you look at taking profit if you don't want to wait for your, your stop loss to come back and get hit. Although this was a little bit of an impulsive move, but it really only just barely pushed above this high. This though, this move went, let's see. Those two candles were 26 ticks. So that was essentially the distance of the open range today. So nice push. Although if we're running with just a stop loss, still wouldn't be hit. We can come back later and see where it ends up for the day. But, well, that's how you catch a trend in oil. And these trending days like this happen, 2, 3, 4 times a week. They're not uncommon. Anyway, that's all we got today. So hopefully everybody had a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.